If you think crossovers are a more recent trend, you're quite mistaken. Nickelodeon was already doing this back in the early 2000s, and I loved when a character from one show or cartoon would meet another character from a different show or cartoon. It was always amazing and brought in a lot of viewers for the studios. Starting with Henry Danger and the Thundermans, two of Nick's superhero series that were hugely popular. It didn't take long for a crossover between Henry Danger and the Thundermans to happen. I remember at the time, people were already asking Nickelodeon to make this happen because most Henry Danger fans were also fans of the Thundermans, and Nick did not disappoint. The crossover episode happens in Henry Danger's series in the second season, which is available on Amazon, Netflix, and Paramount Plus, so if you haven't seen it yet, it's worth checking out. In this special episode, Kid Danger and Phoebe Thunderman go undercover at a villain meeting where the villains plan to defeat Kid Danger and Captain Man, but in the middle of it all, they realize that one of the villains is Max, Phoebe's brother, and then things get crazy. But if that crossover was good, imagine the ones that followed. Nickelodeon was a big part of many people's childhoods, with iconic shows and cartoons that were massively successful. I would watch iCarly, Drake and Josh, the Fairly OddParents, and SpongeBob SquarePants before and after school. Later on, there were other hits like Henry Danger, the Thundermans, and many others. When Nickelodeon decided to show that all these shows were part of the same universe by producing these crossovers, it was a huge success. One of the most incredible and amazing crossovers managed to mix live action with animation. Honestly, this was epic. Nickelodeon brought together Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide with the Fairly OddParents. For those who don't know, Ned carried around a guidebook where he would break the fourth wall, talking directly to the camera, and give tips and tricks on how to survive school with all the challenges that could come up. I used to watch it before school, so I'd arrive at school knowing all the tricks thanks to Ned. It was so good. Well, in this crossover, things get out of control, and Ned and Mose need urgent help. That's when Cosmo and Wanda show up and solve their problems instantly. Here's a really cool fun fact. Pay close attention. Cosmo's original voice is done by Darren Norris, who also played Gordy in Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. So, this crossover even had a bit of an Easter egg. Take a moment and leave hashtag Nick in the comments if you've ever watched at least one Nick show or cartoon. This video will be full of hashtag Nick, because I'm sure you've watched at least one. Well, who hasn't watched Drake and Josh or iCarly? Even if you've never watched them, you at least know what I'm talking about, right? In this crossover, something really funny happened. As you know, Carly and Megan, who is Drake and Josh's sister, are both played by the same actress, Miranda Cosgrove. There's an episode of iCarly where Drake suddenly shows up, calling Carly Megan and asking where Josh is. The funniest part is that it seems like they just threw Drake into the iCarly set and told him to improvise, because he calls Carly Megan, and she laughs while responding to him, making it seem like she didn't even know about this cameo. As a huge fan of both shows, I freaked out when I first saw it. I was like, man, it's Drake on iCarly. Continuing the list of the biggest and best Nick crossovers with what, in my opinion, was the best of them all. This one is probably the most famous too, and I know I wasn't the only one who freaked out. I'm talking about the epic meeting between the Fairly OddParents and Jimmy Neutron. Just thinking about it gives me chills. And this wasn't just a special guest appearance or a single episode. They made a trilogy of movies. The first one came out in 2004, and the second and third in 2006. These three movies show the two cartoon universes interacting. Timmy asks Cosmo and Wanda to send him to the best science lab because he's looking for a project for the science fair, and since their wish is his command, Timmy ends up in Jimmy's universe. What follows are three movies full of adventure and comedy. I remember watching them when they first came out, and what I loved the most was the clever designs which they did with the characters. The Fairly OddParents is in 2D, and Jimmy Neutron is in 3D. So when Jimmy goes to Timmy's universe, he turns 2D, and when Timmy goes to Jimmy's universe, he becomes 3D. It was sensational. Not to mention, the trilogy was a huge hit. It was totally worth it for Nick and for the fans too, do because we gained so much from it. And if you remember this, hit the like button. If you don't remember it, hit like anyway because the videos on this channel are made with a lot of love and care for you. Now, remember Rugrats? They were a group of babies who shared their opinions about life from their own point of view. The way they interacted with each other and their ideas and opinions made the show much more interesting and funny. I was such a fan that I even had several of their toys. Well, the Rugrats had a respectable crossover with the Wild Thornberrys back in 2003 in a movie called Rugrats Go Wild. The Thornberrys are a family that loves to explore wildlife and document everything. And the coolest part is that their daughter, Eliza, has the ability to talk to animals. The story of this crossover is that the Rugrats, including pretty much the entire cast of the show, even the kids' parents, end up stranded and lost on an island. Meanwhile, on the other side of the island are the Thornberrys, and when they meet, the crossover becomes really funny. If you want to watch or rewatch the movie, it's available on Amazon Prime Video. Besides all of these, there's a special crossover where Nick made a short featuring all the characters created by Butch Hartman, the Fairly OddParents, Danny Phantom, Bunsen is a Beast, and Tough Puppy. You can tell that the Fairly OddParents is the show that participates in the most crossovers, and it always works well. This special crossover is from 2017, one of the most recent, if not the most recent one. If you like nostalgia, you got excited for Kung Fu Panda 4, but as you saw, it wasn't what we expected. In this video, I explained why the villains' roles were so disappointing. And did you know that Pixar announced The Incredibles 3 and Toy Story 5? That's right! In these videos, I explain everything about it. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one, Cine lovers!